Hi, I'm Jill Miller. This is Indie Author Jill, where we look at different books that have been written by indie authors or self-published authors. And today we're looking at Stay At Poem Dad by Scottt Raven. This is the Stay At Poem Dad is a play on words, so Stay At Home Dad. And Scott is a poet. He works from home with his young son. His wife, I believe, is a nurse. But most of the poems are from the perspective of a father. And a lot of them they seem to be, they come up as not just poems, but letters to his infant son as he's growing and going to daycare and whatnot. Definitely a dad type poetry collection. It's full of puns and just really bad dad jokes that make me groan, roll my eyes, and a lot of them I want to share with my grandson because he loves a good dad joke and puns. It's a really good collection because it addresses a lot of the whole gamut of parenting, the guilt of mistakes made, fears that parents have, responses to the concern of his age, Scott's age. There was some poems that addressed that people were concerned that he and his wife were too old, or that they had started having children later in life than what is custom to society. He addresses his wife miscarried one of their children. He and his wife lost a child to miscarriage. I hate saying that somebody miscarried a child because it seems like it feels too much like it puts fault on the mother, and 9 times out of 10 it's not anything the mom did wrong. It's just something that's happened, you know. He also addresses how the world is unfolding for his son, the political climate, the presidential elections. There was one poem that I felt like I understood exactly where he was coming from. He had turned his attention away from his son for just a second, and his son wasn't grievously injured, but that feeling as a parent, like when you set your kid down and like if they you sit them on a bed or a couch and you're not aware that they have started rolling over, and you're able to catch them before any harm comes to them, but then you're just like, I am never taking my eyes off of this child again, you know? And it's like, I felt that so hard. Because that just, it's just a gut punch when, like, and every time you make these little mistakes with kids, and then there's so much guilt that comes with being a parent because you're like, oh, your kid could have had the absolute best day ever, and they go to bed and they're like, this was the best day ever, and you're just like, oh, but I lost my temper when we were in the store, and I should have been a little bit more patient with this, or I should have woulda, coulda, and then you're just sitting there nitpicking all the things that you did wrong that day. And I know that this is a lot of times this is associated with moms, that moms feel this. And I think one of the things that we take for granted is that we forget that dads have the same guilt. They fall asleep easier they seem to fall asleep better than we do, but I think part of that is that maybe men understand, maybe they're better at processing those mistakes and saying, you know what, yes, I messed up today, but I'm going to do better tomorrow, and that helps them sleep. Whereas women tend to have a harder time of letting that go, because I've heard the joke that women remember everything, and so men can sit here and say, oh yeah, my wife can remember an argument, something I did like 20 years ago, and I forgot that I even did that. But if you think women are unforgiving to past mistakes that you've made, imagine how much more unforgiving they are to themselves. And I think one of the things I liked about this book is how Scott encapsulated that as a father, that there were so many mistakes that he made. Like he'll have a day and it's like, okay, I had this day and I thought I had a really rough day, but his child by the end of the day is laughing and seems to have forgotten all the times that dad may have dropped the ball, but dad remembered it, and it stuck with dad enough that dad wrote a poem about it, how guilty he felt and how he clings to that. The poem where he talks about the miscarriage was a hard one for me to read, but I did read it. I did get through it, and I don't want to say I'm glad people suffer, because I don't ever want people to suffer, but it's nice to know that there are men out there who, when a miscarriage does happen, that they're as torn up about it as their lives are. Rather than them just blowing it off, and saying, well, it's, you might as well get over it because it's over now and it doesn't matter anymore. And it's nice to know that other people have other wives who have experienced miscarriage, have had supportive husbands who it did matter to them and they did care and they grieved right along with their wives on the loss of the baby. I also there's so many relatable poems. Like I said, some of them are just, the puns are off the chain, but the relatability of you're sitting here watching your child grow up, and then you're looking at the world around them and you're trying to figure out where will this child find his or her place in the world. Will they be okay? And you want to make the world better for your child. You also, at the same time, want to prepare your child for the world they're inheriting. And that's so difficult because the world they're growing up in is going to be so different from the world they do end up inheriting. I grew up in a world with landlines and dial-up internet and the world I'm living in as an adult, the world I inherited, landlines are almost extinct. Dial-up, what's that? You know? And it's so hard to know what world they are going to inherit. He talks about the most recent election where he brought his son to school, and the families had made their political views known, and these are like children. These are not even, I don't even think they're kindergarten age by the time he brings his son, when he's bringing his son to the school. So they're not even 5 years old, and the parents are letting their political views be known by the shirts their children are wearing. So he walks in, and most of the children, he walks in after the election, and most of the children are wearing red shirts, and his child's wearing a blue shirt. And he's realizing that politically his son is in the minority, and he wants his, he expresses a desire that by the time his son is old enough to have an opinion and a voice, that he will still be free and comfortable to express his thoughts and views without being villainized by somebody with an opposing view. The last poem, I'm going to be honest, I almost cried at the last poem, because they waited later in life to have this child, Bonsai, and then they were pregnant again, and that child didn't make it earthside. And then the very last poem is the hope for his wife has gotten pregnant again, and this child has made it past the first trimester, and he has basically made sure that, yes, this collection of poems is for the most part for Bonsai, but the next, but it ends with the acknowledgement that Bonsai is not going to be the last child and an only child, that he has a sibling on the way, and it kind of leaves room for potentially a second book of collections for a second book of poems for the second child. And I do wish Scott and his family all the best. Miscarriages are never easy. Parenting is certainly not easy. Working from home might get a little bit more difficult, Scott, just saying. But I wish you and your family all the best and all the luck with that. And if you have a dad who likes poetry, especially a punny dad, this is definitely a great Father's Day gift for him. At the time of this being going live, Father's Day is in 3 days, I think? It's Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So 4 days away. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, 4 days away. I know days. I know how calendars work. Father's Day is in 4 days. yeah, I would absolutely give this as a gift. As a matter of fact, as soon as I'm done shooting this video, I'm throwing this book into an envelope and shipping it off to my nephew, whose son just arrived Saturday the I think it was like the second Saturday. His son arrived late last month, and it's his first son, his first child, and this baby John is the one that made my baby brother a grandfather. So Josh, if you're watching this, welcome to the Grandparents Club. That's all I got for you guys today. I will see you next time. Enjoy your Father's Day. Tell your dad you love him. And I'll see you next time. Bye.